What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I am doing a Q&A here on the channel. Let's go and just jump straight into it. But before I go ahead and jump into the Q&A, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you all have had a really good day, and hope you all have a really good day. So, let's go ahead and jump into Q&A. We're going to go through all the questions from the YouTube comments from the Ask Your Questions Q&A video. I will go through the YouTube community post, and then I will also go through the questions that did come out on Twitter. So, let's jump into the questions. The first question that came in was from John Q, which has been a loyal viewer to my channel for quite some time. He said, favorite and least favorite driver in all of NASCAR. For me, my favorite driver has been Kyle Larson for the last couple years. And the reason I really like Kyle Larson is, one, Kyle Larson is a generational talent. The guy does what he's doing behind the wheel, and he's a very gifted driver, and I'm really excited for the future. Plus, finally getting his first championship. I wanted him to get a good opportunity at a good team. And the first year he gets a good opportunity at a great organization, he's able to go out there and not only win 10 races in a season, which is the first time that someone's done that since 2007, but also he was able to win the championship, which I think would be the first of many. And I think going to 2022, he has a really strong shot of going back-to-back at championships. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but he's my favorite. My least favorite driver is Riley Herbst. Now, a lot of you probably why I know I've been pretty adamantly against Riley Herbst. And the reason is because Riley Herbst has a lot of funding, and he's not performed. Riley Herbst hasn't been in top-tier equipment for the last couple of years. In ARCA 2018, I think 2017 or 2018, he ran ARCA on a full-time basis, and he only got one win. Keep in mind, Ty Gibbs in the same time ran less races, probably less than half the races than Riley Herbst ran, and he won a championship and won like 15 or 16 freaking races in ARCA. On top of that, he drove the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2020. Absolutely did nothing. Then he goes to Stewart Haas Racing in the same car that won 9 races in 2020 and got no victories and barely made the playoffs in 2021. Now, he may be able to improve as time goes on, and it might equal worse, but I'm not very confident on that. He's going back to SHR, which is like great. I get they need the funding, but at the same time, it's really frustrating that a guy like Riley Herbst is going to be able to continue racing. I think it's really frustrating, and it sucks. The next question I got coming in is Jazz Ratchkin Clark, another loyal viewer of my channel, and he says, what is your favorite movie? My favorite movie, honestly, I know this is going to be a little cliche, but I love the second Die Hard movie. I think my favorite movie is actually Ford versus Ferrari. No joke, Ford versus Ferrari is such a beautifully portrayed movie. It's a great movie in my opinion. If you've not ever seen Ford versus Ferrari, you missed out on a show. And it's basically a really good story about what happened in 1963 as they were trying to get out to the Law 24 Hours and also the 24 Hours Roll 24. They ran out of Speedway during the filming process, by the way, but I thought that movie was really cool, and I enjoyed the movie Ford versus Ferrari. That was the best movie I think I've ever seen. There's been some really awesome other good movies, like the second Die Hard, that was really good. The Christmas one, that was really good. You've also had a lot of other really awesome movies that have come out too. My favorite movie ever of all time, and it's crazy, is Ford versus Ferrari. The third question I have is, what are your plans for the channel, and will you ever try a second channel? The first question is for Gaming of Mason, who was the guy who sent it. I will say this. I do have some plans for the future of this channel. I'm not going to be giving you guys any details in regards to that anytime soon, but hopefully in the near future, I will be able to share what's going on with the channel. I'm going to be at some point expanding some sort of the content that I'm doing. That'll hopefully be the case. The other part of the question Gaming with Mason asked was, will you ever try a second channel? I've thought about doing a second channel, but honestly, right now, at this moment, that is not going to be very possible right now. Because right now, I'm trying to focus on just doing one channel right now, doing the NASCAR news content, doing the reporting, and doing all the other stuff. I don't want to do a second channel. That, however, if I do end up doing a second channel, that will most likely be where the gaming ends up going. I actually have done gaming on YouTube in the past, back in like 2015, 2016 on my older channels, but I really wasn't that good at gaming. However, I do want to bring gaming to the channel some aspect. If I do get a second channel, I am going to do it on my second channel. However, as of right now, at this given moment, I'm not planning to do a gaming channel or a second channel right now. Not at least till most likely the earliest I could have one is the end of 2022. Don't expect one anytime soon. So that's going on in regards to that. I got a couple questions from Xenon Striker 002, and he says, what do you think of NASCAR diecast cars? Honestly, I think some of the companies do a really, really good job. I've never really have any diecast. The only diecast I currently own right now is the Mattcraft in 2019 championship car, and I won that in a giveaway somehow with Hess T2. Hess, if you're watching this video, man, I appreciate you sending that to me still to this day, brother. I really do appreciate that. But I think the Nascar diecast cars are really, really cool. I also like when people custom build them. I think that's one thing that's really, really cool about them. The second one is, which NASCAR race are you excited for the most and why going into 2022? I made a video recently talking about this. If you've not seen that, go check it out. But the race I'm most looking forward to, for me, has to be Gateway. I know I put Gateway number 3, but for me, it's Gateway. And the reason is, I'm actually going to be going to Gateway in 2022. This will be my first NASCAR race since 2010 in the fall, when the Xfinity Series raced there in 2010. And this will be my first Cup Series race ever. So I'm really, really excited about this. I've been wanting to go to a Cup Series race for a very long time. I've come super close the last couple years to potentially going to races, and I really do hope to go to more races maybe this year. But that's why it's number up for me, is a race I'm really looking forward to next year, because I'm definitely going to that next year. And a final question from Xena is, what are your thoughts on NASCAR moving the numbers forward? This is very, very interesting to me, because it's kind of been growing on me. I've said this, I'm for the numbers being moved forward. I'd rather them be in the center. But I will say, number one, I'd rather see the numbers move forward than the numbers move backwards. That being said, again, some of the teams have released some really, really good schemes. I am planning to do like a next-gen paint scheme video where we'll go through all the next-gen cars that have been revealed in their paint schemes. Some teams have done a really good job using the space. Other teams have done not so good job, like Wood Brothers, and you'll hear more about that going down the road in regards to that. But I plan to talk about that, but it's been growing on me a lot more than it was, but teams need to do a better job, and unfortunately, a lot of designers that they want to design don't really have control, because sponsors want it in certain ways, and some teams have not done such a good job on those, but that's just my honest opinion on that. The next questions I have coming in are from BJ Morgan. He has 2 questions to ask me. Question number 1, what tracks and race are you most looking forward to next year? For me, Gateway's number 1. I mentioned it a few minutes ago. Gateway is the number 1. But the second race I'm really looking forward to, if you want to think about it, for me, has to be the trucks returning to Indianapolis Raceway Park. I am super excited about that. I've been wanting NASCAR to return to Lucas Oil Raceway, IRP, for a very, very long time. And while we're not going to have Cup Series, Xfinity Series, and Trucks Xfinity there, we're at least going to get Truck Series next year, which I think is really, really exciting. And it is the earliest of the playoffs are starting in NASCAR history in any of NASCAR's top 3 divisions. But man, I am so looking forward to that. And that's another race that I have on my bucket list. Another race, I got to say Portland. Portland is a race I'm very, very excited about. The Xfinity Series is going there. I've really enjoyed the Indycar Series. And also Sonoma for the Truck Series. Great to see if that track is returning on the Truck Series schedule. And that's something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. Question number 2. Do you think that the new Atlanta Motor Speedway Repay will be good or a bit of a letdown? Honestly, I really do not have a good answer on this one, because we've not seen the cars race there. But I will say this. I do not believe that what they're trying to go, the goals that they're trying to accomplish, I don't think that they're going to end up being what they expected. I think the beginning of the runs will probably be like Super Speedways, though they're testing next-gen cars. We'll talk about it later this week on the channel. But I believe that the Atlanta Motor Speedway Repay is so many unknowns. I really do not have a completely good answer in regards to that. But that's my opinion. I'm not sure how we're going to see the Atlanta Motor Speedway Repay. And the final major question I have is from Sean the Gamer R29, who's been a fan of my channel for a little bit as well. He asks, what is your favorite for Thanksgiving? What do you like to do with Christmas? He said, enjoy your Thanksgiving. And Sean, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. For me, what is your favorite? It's really tough to say what's my favorite Thanksgiving. My favorite thing, of course, is spending time with my family. I always like spending time with my family. That's the most important thing. And giving thanks to the people that have been really, really impactful in my life. That's something that is really, really important. What I like to do for Christmas, I like, of course, same thing with Thanksgiving. I like to spend time with my family. I think it's really, really important. Family 100% is the most important thing. So that really is my opinion on that. And those are the YouTube portions and the YouTube questions from the Q&A questions. Now we'll jump into the next portion, which is YouTube community tab and all the questions from that. The first one that comes in is from Jace TPS, and he says, what is your favorite NASCAR video game? For me, there's a lot of video games I really, really like. For me, of course, you have to have the essentials like NASCAR Thunder 2004. That game is the greatest NASCAR game that for sure that is on consoles, in my opinion. The career mode is really, really good. And by the way, that just does have a Cup Series, and I thought that game was really, really good. But I've unfortunately never played it. But I really like NASCAR Thunder 2004. I think it's a classic game, and I do really want to play it. But it's a game I think is a very, very big classic, so you have to have it up there. I know this can be a little bit controversial, but NASCAR 8 for me is another game that I really, really like. I know that's very controversial, but there's a really, really special place for me on this. This was the game that was the first NASCAR game, one of the first few games that I ever played, and I really, really enjoyed playing it. Yes, I know the game was glitchy. Yes, I know the game was buggy and freaking messed up, but at the same time, I really like NASCAR, basically really, really enjoyed NASCAR 08. I like the game a lot. I know, again, there's a lack of features and stuff, and the PlayStation version really wasn't the greatest, and I had a lot of times where a game crashed, but I really enjoyed it because it was the first game, and it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Going back into it, I don't think it was a good game, but for me, I have a special place in my heart because I really, really liked playing it when I was a little kid. It was a game that really got me more into gaming than it was at this time. The next question that comes in is from Turquoise Husky 20. And he or she asks, where do you think Matt DiBenedetto will land in 2022? Honestly, I really do not know where he's going to land next year. And it's really, really tough to say because I like Matt DiBenedetto, but he's had a lot of controversy. Let's be honest, right? He's had a lot of controversy. I think Matty D is going to land in either Xfinity or Trucks. The only way he remains in Cup, in my opinion, is going to Rick Ware Racing. With them expected to be a 2-car team in the Cup Series next year, that's going to be very tough because they're probably going to be looking at a guy like Ryan Newman, but Matty D's a driver that has a higher ceiling than Ryan Newman right now, so they're probably going to be considering a guy like Matt DiBenedetto. For Xfinity, you have a few teams that are potentially available. Of course, you have College Racing perhaps, but they're probably going to go with someone like maybe like a Zane Smith, a Landon Castle, Parker Kligerman perhaps, could be in the running for that. You also got like JD Motorsports, you got Our Motorsports. In trucks, you got that new Spire Motorsports Truck Series team. You got a lot of teams that you potentially could go to next year, and it's really unclear because sponsorship's a big key thing, and unfortunately for Matty D, he really does not bring a lot of funding and a lot of sponsorship, so that's one reason why I'm a little worried about Matt DiBenedetto's future going forward. I think he'll remain in NASCAR next year, but the question is, will he go on a good team next year, or will he go on a bad team? That's a really big question right there. The next question comes from Eric Marchesini, and he asks, have you attended any IndyCar races in your life, like your hometown track at Gateway from like 2017 to present? This is a no. I have actually wanted to go to the IndyCar race at Gateway in the past, but unfortunately money's been a really, really big issue, and we've never had the time to be able to go out there to IndyCar. That being said, I am hoping at some point in the next couple years to go to the Indianapolis 500. I honestly rather go to the Indianapolis 500 than go to Gateway. The Indianapolis 500 course, the most important IndyCar race of the season, and one of the most important races of the year, and a race that anyone would really love to go to. And I really, in the next couple years, want to go to the Indy 500. I'm not sure what year, maybe like 2023 or 2024 perhaps. Could be the year I go there, but I really want to go to get Indy 500. That's a race that's on my bucket list, and I'm hoping to be at IndyCars. But this is an easy question. I have not been to an IndyCar race. The next question comes in from John Skate, and he asks, favorite moment from this season? For me, my favorite moment was a race, and this was the 2021 Bristol 9 race. This race was absolutely freaking ecstatic. I so enjoyed this race. So many people contending overall as a whole, and it was really, really fun to watch. And of course, after the race, you had Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott getting into it, which I thought was really, really funny and crazy to see that they were basically pushing and shoving. And seeing my favorite guy go out there and win at Bristol was awesome. And the racing itself, too, not to mention, was just incredible. And it was one of the highest rated on the Jeff Gluck poll because the race was the best of the year, and I enjoyed it. But if I had to choose a second moment that was my favorite, was seeing my guy Kyle Larson win the championship. I cannot tell you how excited I got when Kyle Larson won the championship, and I was not going to be happy if he didn't win a championship, but just seeing the guy who absolutely deserved the championship, and that being, of course, my favorite driver, is something I've always wanted. I wanted Kyle Larson to win a Cup Series championship, and coming into this year, I thought Kyle Larson would win maybe 3 to 4 races. I did not expect Kyle Larson to win 10 races. And the craziest thing, too, is he going to win a lot more races in 2021 than he did that year. And I think that we're just seeing the beginning of the dominance of Kyle Larson. And I'm really excited for Kyle Larson going into next year and long around the road because I think he's going to do a lot of great things. And that was another moment that I really enjoyed this year. The next question is from Jazz Ratchet in Clark, and he also asks, who do you think is going to win the LA Coliseum? For me, I think Chase Elliott is going to win. I think Chase Elliott's really, really good at short tracks. He's been racing all this offseason. On top of that, I think that Hendrick Motorsports will be the first team to win, whether it's an exhibition event. I think that he'll be able to make it to the finals and be able to qualify in the Busch Clash, and I think he'll win. I think he's going to be their winner, and I think he crossed the finish line first at the LA Coliseum. I don't understand why the race is on Fox. I think the race could have done wonders if it had been on Fox, because, of course, it's the LA Coliseum, but it makes a lot of sense for him to win that. And the next question I have is from Inkling Gamer, and he says, how old are you? How long have you been on YouTube? So I'm 21 years old. I'm going to be 22 in January, in about a month and a half from now, as the time of recording this. I will be turning 22 years old. The second part of this is how long have I been on YouTube? On this channel, I've technically been on this channel since 2018. I have had a few videos from 2016 to 2017 in concurrent, and I actually did start uploading videos around 2013 and 2014, but they really weren't very, very successful. And for a long time, I took a break from YouTube for about a year and a half, and then I made my official return in 2018, which I really, really have enjoyed the returns. I really love making YouTube content, and it's something that I've really, really enjoyed. And I know at points that I've had some time, of course, where I've had barn burner moments where I've been burned out, but at the same time, I keep pushing myself to make better content. And trust me, you guys are going to be getting better content very, very soon. That's a promise I'm planning to keep, and I will make better content for you guys going forward. And a final question that comes in from John Van Deventer, who's been a fan of mine for a little bit, and he asks, "What is my favorite race in my opinion, and my least favorite race of all time?" First thing, my favorite race of all time is the 2011 Ford 400. My two favorite guys at the time in 2011, Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart, were the two that were competing for the championship, and they had an incredible chase, and the season was so incredible to watch, and it came down to the last race where Tony Stewart won. On top of that, the race was extremely entertaining. So many guys up front contending, guys like Martin Truex Jr., Jeff Gordon, among those that were contending overall for the victory in that race. And I really, really enjoyed this race. It was very, very fun, and I love the Ford 400 and race it for me number one. Even though there were some races this year that I thought were great, like the Xfinity Series race at Bristol, but I really enjoyed it. My least favorite race, in my opinion, has to be the 2016 Brickyard 400. Don't get me started with this race. The Brickyard 400, nothing happened. Kyle Busch dominated. It was a really, really boring race. 2015 was better. 2016, Kyle Busch dominated. Nothing happened. Legitimately. He had a few wrecks that happened. That's about it. Guys like Tony Stewart were up front points. That's about it. The race, nothing happened. It was not a very enjoyable race. And to this day, I still despise this race. I think it was absolutely the race itself was just absolutely horrendous. If you legitimately want to look at facts and all this stuff, man, anyone that liked the race really probably was a Kyle Busch fan, right? It wasn't entertaining. It wasn't exciting. And again, I really love the Brickyard as a track, right? I really love the Brickyard as a track. But let's be for real and honest here. The racing itself just was not that good. It just wasn't a race that I genuinely enjoyed. And I'm going to say this because, again, I do not like this track. It's a track that I think just absolutely was frustrating. So that is the final question, though, for the Q&A on the YouTube community post. And finally, we'll go ahead and jump into the Q&A from the Twitter, because I asked it for you guys to see if you send any questions. First one comes in from Jonathan Ellis. He asked me a pretty funny question asking, will flying cars have lights? I don't know. You should have asked Bob Pockers this, because everyone asks Bob Pockers if it has lights. Honestly, I really don't know. Maybe it will have lights. Maybe NASCAR will have a way to have lights with the racing series. Maybe if the tracks won't have it, who really knows? But, man, I cannot believe NASCAR is thinking about flying cars over some of the stuff. That just really, really irritates me and really, really frustrates me. But, yeah, that was the first question from Twitter. The second question that comes on Twitter is from Warrior11. And he asks, favorite generation of NASCAR design? Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, etc. For me, I got to go back to the class. I think that some of the Gen 6 cars have been really, really good. I think the Gen 4 had a lot of really, really awesome designs. I love the Twisted Sister. I thought that was really, 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 really awesome car. There's just so many different designs of cars that I really, really enjoy as a whole, and that's a car that I did really, really like. The next question does want to again come from Xenon Striker, and he asks, favorite 2022 paint scheme and why? For me, the favorite paint scheme that I've probably seen so far, I really like the RFK test car that's come out. I really like that one. I really do hope that Brad Keselowski does end up using that. I think that would be a really, really awesome paint scheme for him to have. I think that'd be a really, really good one. So maybe might potentially be the case of what he ends up using next year, or maybe he'll use some of the spots that are supposed to be revealed at a later date. But I really, really like that, and I like the paint scheme. I think that's a great paint scheme. The next question comes in from No, and he asks, favorite NASCAR manufacturer? One simple answer only, Chevy. Chevy's been my favorite manufacturer. I grew up as a Hendrick fan. I grew up as a Tony Stewart fan, and I used to be affiliated with manufacturers. I like Ford because some of the drivers like Matt Kenseth, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle back in the early portions of being a fan. But for me, it was Chevy. Seeing Tony Stewart in the beginning of his career, and I've always been a Tony Stewart fan, he's been associated with Chevy. Now, there's a really, really big chance he could go to Dodge, but I think that Tony Stewart was one of the big reasons, and Henry Motorsports, of course, and I've been a Chevy fan my whole life, and I'm still going to be a Chevy guy to this day. Plus, my dad's always been a Chevy guy, though. He goes back and forth and flips back and forth on that. So that's the question on that, and that's my favorite manufacturer. And the final question of this Q&A is from John Skates once again, and he asks, favorite paint scheme from this season? This is going to be a little bit biased, but I'm going to be on a little bias here. I'm actually going to say that the 2021 Gravedigger scheme from Kevin Harvick is the best paint scheme that was released this year. That paint scheme was absolutely amazing. I really liked it. They did a great job on the color schemes, and they did a perfect job, and it was debated at Nashville. There were a lot of schemes that were really good from Nashville. Bubba's PetSmart scheme, Kyle Larson's Valvoline scheme that actually went on to win. That was actually originally what I was going to pick as my favorite scheme. But man, that was such a good paint scheme, and I really, really enjoyed it. So, that's the final question for the Q&A. That is going to be for today's video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on so you're notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go jump over that and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts on a Q&A? Do you think I should do more of these Q&As down the road or not? Let me know in the comments below. I got a lot of other special products that are going to be coming out. And once again, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everybody had a good day and hope everyone stayed safe today. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.